G'day. Sky Sports presenter Rachel Brookes recently disabled comments on her social media after receiving enormous amounts of vile abuse. So what's all this about and where are we going with this sort of behaviour? F1 social media can be a toxic place for so many in the sport, drivers in particular, but I'll get to them shortly. First up, let's look at the situation with Rachel Brookes. She works for Sky Sports in the UK, interviews drivers, team principals and others. And after the Barcelona GP, where Max received a 10-second penalty for crashing into George Russell, she asked Max, could this take the shine off some of your other abilities? Nothing malicious in it, a fair question, I think most would agree. He responded, well, that's your opinion. A fair response, and life went on. Or so it seemed. But that night and into the next day, Rachel received a flurry of vile abuse online. Hope you never have children. Fuck off and die, bitch. And plenty more. And while you can't see these comments now, many were from real accounts. In other words, from people prepared to be identified. But going back to that interview, I think some, predominantly Max fans, had thought that Rachel was saying Max was a bad role model. I don't believe that was the case. What didn't help, though, was Sky running a poll on screen asking if the incident should have resulted in Max receiving a black flag, a disqualification. Guys, the interviewer would have had no idea what was up on that screen. That's put up on screen by someone in another country. And on top of that, Nico Rosberg said he should have been disqualified. But Nico's paid to give an opinion. It's not Sky's opinion, and it's not Rachel's opinion. Once the abuse got too much, Rachel posted this. I will be posting on here as usual, but comments, tags, mentions on here and on X have been disabled for the foreseeable future due to the enormous amounts of vile abuse I was sent after the Spanish GP. It had gotten to a point where it was simply intolerable. Some years ago, a UK football reporter, a female, received similar vile abuse directly, but she took a different approach. She actually took those comments, posted them on her social media, along with the senders' names and their social media accounts. What happened? A lot of those people ended up begging her to take the post down. Things had come full circle. And another TV commentator, Lee Mackenzie from Channel 4 in Britain, also turned off comments recently on her social media after haters, and both men and women, made savage remarks about her appearance. What on earth prompts people to do that sort of thing? I'll come back to that in a little bit. Let's now look at the F1 drivers, and they've been copping similar abuse for a long time now. Jack Doohan, Yuki Tsunoda and Liam Lawson were recently verbally attacked and threatened. In Jack's case, Argentinian fans of Franco Colapinto targeted the Australian driver with some shocking online abuse and even emailed him personal threats. The abuse was serious enough that Jack hired security in Miami and was planning for it in Brazil. Liam Lawson came under online attack from Sergio Perez fans after the two drivers came together on track in Mexico. It resulted in him spurning social media. He still posts for his fans, but doesn't look at the messages. He went on to say, you really don't expect that kind of thing or prepare for it. And then Yuki Tsunoda copped it from Argentinian fans after an incident in Imola. Franco impeded Yuki, who then gesticulated angrily at being blocked. That was all it took for fans to hurl abuse, some of it racially tinged, at Yuki. For sure, Franco and Sergio didn't urge their fans to carry on like this. The fans in question, and yes, they are a minority, were so wound up in the support of their favourite driver, they took it upon themselves to harass these three drivers. And really, to what end? Go back to the final race of 2021. Nicholas Latifi crashed in Abu Dhabi, and afterwards, Nicholas received an avalanche of online hate for crashing. Then, of course, the hate turned to race director Michael Massey for his decision regarding the safety car. This was from a subset of Lewis Hamilton fans who were not just blaming Nicholas and/or Michael for Lewis losing the battle that year, they were actively targeting them with threats and savage abuse. It's not like Nicholas could uncrash or Michael could reverse the decision. In 2022, Lando admitted to a British newspaper, The Independent, that he'd received death threats. I think many of the more popular drivers have also received the same, but are perhaps shielded from the threats by their people, or if they do become aware of them, simply choose not to mention them. So what's in it for the abuser? Often it's the desire for attention and a sense of power. Many post this abuse from burner accounts to hide their identity. Many of those spewing hate online would be too weak to say it to the person's face. And if a driver or an F1 personality were ever to be abused in the paddock like that, I can tell you straight away that abuser would be marched straight out of the paddock and probably banned for some period of time. But online, it's very hard to eject a hater. best you can do is block them. But things might be changing. Recently, a UK national, Sebastian Bond, and 2 companies were ordered to pay a couple £300,000 after they were exposed as the operators of a controversial gossip website, Tattle Life, where abusive comments about the couple were posted. It took a couple of years and a worldwide forensic investigation to identify the defendants and their assets, but it does send a strong message that you might well be held to account for what you say or allow to be posted online. Some of you might be saying, why don't the drivers just stop looking at social media? Well, I think a lot of them have, but often the comments and the threats get back to those drivers, perhaps inadvertently, from people asking, have you seen this particular comment? You get enough abuse and there's no doubt it takes its toll. Now, Formula One does have an online abuse social media policy. In fact, they've got a couple of campaigns running. This one, the Drive It Out campaign, and the United Against Online Abuse campaign, both encourage the reporting of the abuse and promote respectful online behaviour. But there are so many platforms and so many comments that policing that sort of thing is indeed very tricky. So when did this F1 tribalism become apparent? Go back to 2016 with the Nico versus Lewis rivalry. Things got heated, and then it ramped up in 2021 after the Max and Lewis finale in Abu Dhabi. Perhaps this is one of the side effects of the Drive to Survive series and the explosion of social media. Fans now know more about their drivers' personal lives. There are more things that can trigger them as we see them off track, at home, on their yachts, with their partners, and one comment can easily be taken the wrong way, and then the floodgates open and the hate pours in. F1 has always been a family-type environment, and at the track we rarely see fans coming to blows, for instance. It's not like some football leagues where fans have to be fenced off from each other. Imagine if F1 came to that. 10 separate sections for the fans of each team. Well, actually, you might need 20. You might need a section for fans of each driver. That would be a nightmare. Certainly much of the abuse comes from trolls sitting in dark rooms firing off toxic comments that they will rarely be held to account for. If you go back to the Imola race and Franco's crash in qualifying, a parody account posted a story that led viewers to believe that Jack's dad Mick was having a crack at Franco. Now this was a fake post, but it was reported as genuine by a number of media outlets, compounding the hate towards the Doohan camp. In the end, Jack had to come out on social media and call it out as a fake and implore people to stop sending those abusive messages to him and his team. It was pretty poor form. One byproduct of all this hate seems to be that drivers in press conferences now are saying the barest minimum because they just can't be bothered with the hate that comes if they happen to say something that causes offence. We've seen it with Max Verstappen and also with Lance Stroll. They're just not willing to take that gamble. And for genuine fans, that's disappointing because we just don't get the drivers' honest opinions. Yes, there are haters out there, and unfortunately plenty of them. But when it's all said and done, have you ever met a hater doing better than you? Before you go, I'll remind you that you can find my new bucket hats at the shop at kimillman.com and hand-signed and numbered prints from the likes of Fernando Alonso, Gabriel Bortoleto, Esteban Ocon, Jackie Stewart, Patricio Award and more, once again at the shop at kimillman.com. Thanks for watching and stay passionate. Counters, driver prints from the likes of Fernando